a couple of weeks ago where I happened to mention how I had seen a number of these bus rapid transit program stations, these Rea Vaya bus stops. Many of them are shiny, they look brand new, but I happened to mention that I'm not seeing too many commuters use that service, and I was accused of being out of touch and not knowing really what South Africans do and how they travel. Well, here we are. The Transport Department, according to the Sunday Times, has admitted that the BRT program simply hasn't worked. 80 billion rand is estimated to have been spent over 2 decades on integrated public transport network systems, and the picture is grim. Only just an estimated 150 odd thousand use these transport systems nationwide compared to the millions who commute on our roads using taxis and other modes of transport. And the important thing is they were warned it might not work. I've got 2 guests this morning. We'll start with Benny Makgoga, who is the Rea Vaya Director of Service Promotions. Wayne Duvenage from the organization Undoing Tax Abuse is listening to our conversation and will respond. Benny, let me start with you. It's a staggering amount. I know that you're not responsible for the overall picture. Your focus is specifically Johannesburg and Rea Vaya, but 80 billion rand. Has it all been lost down the drain?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly from my side.
The line keeps breaking. All right, we perhaps might not have time for all of the background info, particularly because we've got connection problems. But Benny,
Yes.
perhaps let's just bring us to where we are now. How many stations do you have and how many buses are meant to operate on Rea Vaya?
At the moment, we have about 63 stations, and we are having 134 buses that operate Phase 1B, and then unfortunately, in terms of the 1A, where we used to have 143 buses, that's where we are having challenges right now because of the contracted services.
All right, hold on. Okay, let's just stick to the basic numbers. We've got 63 stations. How many buses operating today? 134.
134 for 1B, 68 for 1CA. This is a new route that operates from the Joburg CBD to Alex and Sandton. So it's about 68 buses and 134 buses that are currently operating now.
So just over 200 in total. How many commuters use your service every day?
Every day, about 15 to 20,000 passengers at the moment, because we are having some challenges in terms of the contracted services for 1A, which is mostly the buses that are supposed to operate in the major areas of Soweto, like your Proteas Land, your Naledi, your Mufulo, and then Eldorado Park. At the moment, we are working on a new contract to be appointed so that we can cover all those areas in Soweto. And
right.
By then,
Benny?
I should believe we should be able to increase our passengers to about 60,000.
Benny, how much money has Rea Vaya cost so far?
At the moment, we have already spent 16.8 billion for all the infrastructure on stations and also on depots that we have created. And as well as the bridges, the 2 bridges, one along the Lee Street just by Marlborough, and the extension of the Greystone for walking and cycling bridge.
And the monthly operating costs go to what?
The monthly operating cost is mainly the fee per kilometer that we pay for contracted services, which from the back of my mind could be roughly about 30-40 million.
30-40 million rand every month. That's the general overall picture as far as operating costs are concerned.
Yes, I'm talking at the moment.
And
yes,
this is
on average.
This is to cover roughly 20,000 passengers every day.
Yes,
as
at the
stand.
moment, yes.
I've got a quote here, Benny, from the Sunday Times yesterday, where they're quoting the Department of Transport spokesperson Colin Msibi, who says, and I quote now, "Numbers don't lie, and only 152,000 passengers use these forms of transport nationwide, compared with the 8 million who use taxis. That's a clear-cut case, is it not, Benny?
Yeah, generally speaking, the minibus taxis are carrying the largest. But like as I indicated before, if you are looking for a broader integrated public transport, you need to look at the integration. Like in our case, the intention was to have phase 1A, phase 1B, phase 1C, and then extend into other areas so that you have passengers that can easily travel from Soweto to Randburg, from Soweto to Ivory Park, from Soweto to Randburg.
Sure, we get what
that was the bigger expansion plan.
So that was what was intended. Is it what has worked? I mean, 17 years down the line, all of this money later, in terms of the amounts even you have given here, the monthly operating costs, so few passengers compared to what the taxis are getting. Has it worked?
Sorry?
Have we got bang for our buck?
I can't hear that.
All right, say what? Let's just leave it there, Benny Makgoga. Not quite sure what to say there, I suppose. Wayne Duvenage from the organization Undoing Tax Abuse, I thank you for your patience. It was really mostly for you to listen to the background of the explanations of what we're getting from Rea Vaya. I would ask you the same question. Did we get bang for our buck?
No. Hi, Bongani. Excuse me. No, certainly not at all. When you think about how long this has taken and where we are today, and as you were saying, and I think many can attest to observing, these BRT stations are empty. These routes have been long in the making and putting together with road infrastructure improvements just really not being done on time. As I say, 20 years now this has been going on for, and we are not getting our bang for buck. I mean, when you think about an integrated public transport system, this is just one element of it. It does require that you should be able to catch a bus, get onto a rapid bus transport system, get into a taxi, car train, using one integrated payment system. That's still not in place, and PRASA, by the way, as well. So if you look at our integrated public transport systems in big cities like Joburg, really is falling far short of where we should be today.
All these nodes work in silos. I mean, as you've just pointed out, part of the problem is, for example, when there's a strike for the bus services, now that's something perhaps Rea Vaya can't always control. If a commuter has bought a monthly coupon, they can't then use the funds they've already spent for that particular month or that week and use them using other forms of transport. And so they're stuck. And so people think, well, why take the risk?
Exactly. And this should have been sorted out a long time ago. They've been talking about it. And I guess this is why the Department of Transport has realized that they're throwing good money after bad. Everybody's in tight budgets at the moment, tight revenues. So they're going to have to review these various projects that they've been funding. And this is one that I think they're coming to their senses on, to say, look, we cannot just keep pouring money into failed systems. Obviously, the BRT individuals are going to try and defend their position, but when they when they unpack this and look at the productivity of these systems, how much are we getting passengers onto every single route? I think if they really do their homework properly, they're going to see that it's just not making sense anymore. But I guess we need to have the Department of Transport sitting down with each province and dealing with this integrated public transport process far more meaningfully. I don't think they involve or do enough research. I don't think they involve enough of the stakeholders in coming to these decisions. Again, we also see the whole car train plan being rolled out. I don't know if we're getting the return on investment there. But yeah, look, Bongani, we need a lot of work done here, and we need a lot of transparency. And it must make sense. Otherwise, we must stop funding these, quite frankly, white elephants.
Wayne, I made a point earlier that as fascinating as some of the bigger national questions are around things like Phala, there's so much money that is being wasted that perhaps not all of us are keeping an eye on. I mean, 80 billion rand over 2 decades spent on a system that they were warned might not work. as you say, simple things like the payment systems haven't been sorted out. Forget the infrastructure, forget all the delays and everything else that has gone wrong. Simply integrating the payment system would have been one way to ensure that there's buy-in, at least from commuters. 80 billion rand later, and we just shrug it off as another failed experiment. It's as if we bought, I don't know, a bad loaf of bread.
Far too many examples of this, Bongani. Far too many across the country, and so many projects we just see absolute waste of taxpayers' money because there's not enough research going into it. There's not enough consultation with the various stakeholders. As you say, they were warned that this was going to happen, but government seems to think that if it just puts things in place, they're all going to happen. It's just going to miraculously unfold. We saw it on the whole ETL debacle where they just felt, well, if we put in laws, people are just going to abide by them, and whether it's practical or not, it doesn't really make sense or matter. And here we have another example of billions of rands now wasted. You can't recoup this. I guess around the world, integrated transport systems are necessary. They are subsidized, and we've got to make this work. This is a sunk cost, but you just can't keep throwing good money after bad now, and they need to either find a way to fix it or abandon it and clean it up. But yeah, I don't know. If they don't get the various stakeholders and do the proper research, we're going to continue to waste money.
Sometimes you just want to throw your hands up in the air, don't you? Wayne Duvenage, Organization Undoing Tax Abuse CEO, and my other guest, Benny Makgoga, the Director of Service Promotions at Rea Vaya.
Current events, developing stories,
tough questions,
your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.